everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thanks for joining me on my channel today. It's always good to have you with me. I want to thank everyone who has been commenting on what they think last week's quilt blocks were. It's been a lot of fun. Your ideas were a lot better than what I had started out with in my head, so I think the name of the quilt, whenever it gets made, is going to be What the Heck Is That, and let people just decide what it is. You had some great ideas, and I admit many things that I didn't think about, but once you said it, I could see it. So thank you all for that. Today I have laid out some pieces from past explorations, fairly early on, I think, in the whole scheme of things, and they're various explorations, but I did them all with black and white and brights, which is still my favorite. And you can tell I like them a lot because I did a lot of things with them. And I would like to come back to these and do something with it. Now, I did at one point create in Procreate a quilt that had these sort of some pieced and some appliqued and going a little bit like what I did with bungee. And I like bungee and what I did, but I'd like to try something different with this. I don't know what yet. I don't know if all of these pieces are going into it or not. Frankly, when I first thought about doing this, I didn't remember that I had all of these pieces. This, I think, was from my Knit and Purl series, and these were pearls. And I don't know what that one was. A lot of these are just taking black and white 2.5 inch squares and splicing and cutting and shifting and all of that. And I really like those a lot. But I want to add some other things. If I put this all together, it's just too much and the eye would just go crazy. So I'm trying to think. This is the one that I initially started out thinking about. So I might work with this one today. This is one of my favorites. These circles are not yet appliqued. Haven't gotten there yet, but I want to think about how I could add on to this without making it any busier than it is. I love how it is, but it needs something framing it that isn't as busy. I don't know that I want just, say, plain black or plain white or a bright color, but I do want to do something that will give the eye at least a little bit of rest, but still be able to direct it around to other parts of the quilt. So I'm thinking, for example, if I'm putting those two pieces together, I love this one too. I'd forgotten how much I really love these pieces. Then how would I keep some movement going and move the eye to this without, although that wouldn't be bad, would it? Anyway, so I want to explore a few things that I can do with that, and I probably will be coming back to these as well because I just do love them. I hope you all like them too, because I may spend a little time with them now. All right, and then I also have this. I don't know what I will do with this. Maybe something today, maybe not. This was another one where we explored just making strips of strips, I guess, and with just one accent color in there. So let's just start with this one anyway today, and we'll see how it goes. I've pulled a couple of black and white pieces just as a place to start, and then I've also pulled some brights, some prints. These would go specifically with the color scheme I already have, but actually so with this because there's pink in there. I just pulled those out randomly and they turned out to be the right ones. Go figure. Maybe more prints isn't what I want, so I've got a solid here in case it needs to be a solid. Now, one thing I could do, and I'm thinking specifically about the bottom here first, and this needs to be straightened, but I could put just a solid piece of white down here of whatever width. I could put a piece of black down there of whatever width. I think I like that better than white because this is a lot of black. But Or I could do a combination of that. There are times when you just have to go with something. You know, you look at it and say, yeah, that looks good. Let's move on. I could put some white at the top so that it's white, then it sort of mixes in some black, and then we get to black at the bottom. Let me turn this under a bit so we don't have that margin on the side. And then some black at the bottom, which I thought I was going to like, but I do not, as a matter of fact. Okay, so another thought that I had was, what if I were to do sort of a checkerboard, just a narrow one, maybe two stacks high, and use a bright. So a bright and black or a bright and white. There's so much black in here. The black would draw that out more. The white would brighten it up a little. Well, let's try it with both. There's no reason we can only do one. We can do two. So I think I'm going to try doing this stripe. Oh, you know, we have a green. We could do one of the stack in yellow and one of the stack in green. Of course, then we have the pink, but let's not go too crazy. Or do we want to go that crazy? I know what I'll do. I will just do the individual pieces, so it will just be like a striped effect in yellow and white, and then a green and white, and then a pink and white. And then I'll put them together and decide how many I want. Or maybe I'll decide I don't want any of them. I do like having the color down here. Could end up putting a narrow black strip in between each of them. We have so many choices. This is why I had to narrow it down to one block, or we would be here until Christmas 2050. First thing I'm going to do is straighten out this edge because it's driving me a little bit up the wall, and then I will make some strip sets from these. Now, I haven't sewn these together, obviously, but this is in general how it would look. And I've got more pieces, so it could be wider. So it could end up like that. That's too much. So another option is to alternate these. And you know my whole spatial relationship issues. And then do another pink, and then do another gold. I like that better. I could also make these smaller, but I think that might just add to the sort of chaos of the whole thing. And I think I might want this reversed so that the pink is at the bottom because it's a little heavier. So I want the weightier thing at the bottom, and there's more of that particular color. So I think I'm going to sew these together in the alternating fashion, and then we'll come back and see how that looks. Now, another option would be to just take these and alternate them. And then run a strip of pink at the bottom. Possibly a narrower strip. I think I would, boy, I'd almost do the orange then. What happens if I do, let's see, I'll sew these together and try it, but I'm not sure how I want them sewed together. What if we did a little narrow strip of black in between those? or a narrow strip of black and then do these below that. I like that concept, but I think it's going to draw attention from this. And all I wanted this to do was sort of rest the eye. I'll give it a resting spot. And I think if I do all of this, then it draws the attention away. I think I'm going to, all right, how will this look if, see, this is the life in my brain. You should be happy you are not living there with it. Okay, and that would come down here, and this would come down there. Yeah, I don't mind that so much. I think I'll have some of each of these in the mix here. And if it ends up being sliced off so these aren't whole pieces, I'm okay. I'm not going through the whole math of this. And then we can also explore whether maybe I want a plain black strip in there or a plain white strip as a kind of a transition into these. I don't know. Let me sew these together first. It actually turned out fairly well. May have to trim just a teeny tiny sliver off there, but maybe not actually. All right, and then we have options for what to do with black there, if anything. I think that just kind of cuts it off. This at least has a little bit of transition into the white. And the black here probably wouldn't be that wide. Grounds it. Which I for sure would want to do if it was at the bottom of the quilt. But I'm not sure that I want to do it here. So I could reserve that decision until I get to the point where I'm putting the quilt together. Now I have more little pieces. So next, what I would like to do is what I would call, say, a radiating piece behind this. So I want a piece of black, I think. And it will have, so it will be on these two sides. So top and bottom, or top and side here. And I want some things radiating out of it. Maybe these same colors, or maybe this orange, or maybe something entirely different. Maybe white. I don't think white, because in my brain it's a bright color. And so I would take two pieces and stitch them together whatever width I want. So say a piece here and then cross piece here, like I was doing a border, just two sides of a border. Splice pieces into that, so I'd make it wider than I want so I can shift and move and trim, and then stitch this into it. Now that's going to be a set-in seam, but I have a hack for that, which should work. Works in my brain. I don't know why it wouldn't. So it just means that I want to be careful about how I do the radiating, the splices going into it at this corner of these two black pieces. So the question is, do I want these to be just consistent width splices going out? Do I want them to get larger as here? And I really like how this black and, well, you know me in black and white stripes. Black and white stripe goes in through there, and it makes it look as if this is actually two different pieces going out from there. I just love this piece. All right, first thing I'm going to do is cut the black pieces for the top and the side here. I guess maybe I better stitch this on there. So that is configured into the whole thing. And then I will come back when I have those two pieces cut and pieced with the corner in there. Sorry about the neighbor mowing. I have pieced these two together with that corner in there. And now I want to figure out how I want these pieces to go. I want to avoid splicing any strips in right here. But I do want them to be radiating, not necessarily at the same angle as these. So I'm just going to map some out here. If I can, this white will make it possible for you to see what I'm doing there. And if I were being perfectly engineered about this, I would, in fact, how do I want to do this? Maybe about here. And then I still want a piece like this, maybe, maybe not. I don't know yet. One almost straight out and then one like here. Now, if I didn't care about having something spliced into this corner, I could just do it as two separate pieces and then put them together, but I do want to tie that in. So I don't know how I feel about that angle. I think I want it to, pardon my elbow, I think I want it to be more like that. So I'm going to go ahead and splice some in there. The question is, what am I going to splice in there? I have some narrow strips left over from doing these. And I can always cut more. I think I want a little bit of orange in there. I don't know if I have that. I've got this orange and pink here too. I brought pink in down here, so I'm kind of thinking I wouldn't mind an orange or gold up there. And I could use some pressing. So I think I'm going to stick with maybe those colors. I probably have some more of this. That's too much. I want it to be a fairly subdued set out here because remember, I'm looking for a way to let the eye rest. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and splice through these. So I will just make the cuts there, insert these in there, and of course they'll be narrower, which is all right. I don't mind narrow. I really do like this concept, but let's leave the interest there, and this will just be kind of a matting or a backdrop for it. All right, that's what I'm going to do. I have finished doing this, and then I trimmed things up. Now I've released this seam a little bit. I'm going to stitch this piece to it because I've got enough room now. I've released that seam, and then I can come back when that's attached and finish that seam. So let me do this part of it first, and then I'll show you where I'm at. Note I'm using white thread so you all can see it. Ordinarily I would use black. All right, so I released that seam from this set in corner there, and now I have stitched this piece to that. Now I can turn this, and I've got a straight shot to finish this seam. So that's a partial seam. It's a wonderful little trick to know. And now I'm ready to do this seam, and then I can trim it all up to the size that I want. And now I can trim this to whatever size I want. These are the same width, the side and the top, although I didn't necessarily want it to be that way in the end, but this gives me some maneuvering room. And unless I want to add something on here, I'm going to cut that off a bit, but that does not bother me as I'm trimming this up. And then down here as well. And I might very well want these to be narrower, but better to wait and see as I'm continuing with the quilt than to just start hacking away now. And pretty happy with that. I'm almost, well, you know me in circles, I'm almost wondering if, I don't know if I have any more of this, but if it should, you know, have something up there to tie it all together. Not sure about that. All right, seems like we didn't really accomplish that much today, but we did make some decisions about here, and then did the splicing and the partial seam hack here. And I like what I've got. The question becomes, is this going to be it on its own, which certainly could be a possibility, and I would want to bind it in, I don't know, maybe a pink or maybe a black and white stripe. I almost feel like I want to pull some pink in here. I purposely didn't do these in pink. I don't know why. It was on purpose. No, I'm not doing any pink there. But maybe a pink circle or two up here. It almost feels like I want to continue, you know, some more circles around here, maybe. And then there's the question of, do I want to add other pieces to it? So maybe this piece, maybe. Then I kind of wonder if I want that to have gone on, or maybe I want it to go this way. I have something in my head going one direction. That's actually a little better. I like that little turn there. And then could continue with more pieces. Going down, introduce some other colors perhaps. And maybe that's a piece. Or I could do something like these strips over here to put something off to that side, but I don't like that as well because then there's this big hunk of black in the middle, and I would rather that be possibly on the outside of the quilt. So it might end up a small piece like this. I might have another piece that does more of that over here and maybe shift it down a little bit or maybe up a little bit so that there's some more movement going up there. But I don't want to do this because then that isolates that and your eye just goes boom right to that. Whereas this way, it's doing some more roaming around. So I like that. And maybe I end up adding all of these onto here, and then up above here, I put this whole thing on another radiating piece. So it's like this would act as it did with this one, and then I add another piece up there, which I think I kind of like. And maybe I pull in the pink and a darker green, maybe something like this, more lime green color as we move out from there. And then maybe that's it, or maybe I want more of these pieces. So it's an unknown at the moment, but I'm liking where this is going better than what I had created in Procreating. You know, I kind of like this little bit of plain black peeking in there. So I might end up doing something with that. At any rate, perhaps that's something we'll explore next week. I need to go elevate my leg and put some ice on it. Had some skin cancer surgery a couple days ago and on my shin, and I need to tend to that. So it's been a lot of fun doing this. I love revisiting these because I like these pieces so much. And I'm glad you were along. Let me know what you think, how you would finish it off, or if you would finish it off at all, or just use this piece that we did today. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope I will see you next week. In the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.